the bench all season long, despite leading this team in scoring, but as balanced as they are, still have plenty who can produce in this starting 11. And great ball movement to get things started. Delaney Thomas finishes it off. He's had to practice a little patience over the last couple of years, had high hopes for this year. Obviously, those injuries have cut into those hopes. Washington and Richardson, each with a foul so far for their respective teams. Wide open look is there for Richardson, who knocks it down.
She was averaging 6 points per game going into the season. Tori Verdi, and of course, through her hard work, she became an All-ACC player. And now with 5.
Just 9 active players available for this Pitt team. So those on the floor have to hit. Washington's does. Comes up as an empty possession for the Blue Devils. 5 regains her composure and has her first points. Panthers get themselves an open look for Johnson. A chance for the rebound. Miles. Back to Michaela Johnson, the sophomore transfer from Colorado.
Time to shoot a 3 is off an offensive rebound. Brooklyn Miles getting in there, and then Michaela Johnson. No hesitation.
Right now, Pitt has climbed back into this after being down 7-0 to start the game. Phi going to work on the inside. She has 4, and we're tied at 9. Jordan Wood, Lucia Okonowa both in the game off the bench for Duke. Talked about their great balance. They use their bench, but they also rely on players like Richardson.
And Lucia Okonowa guarding the ball. She's in for Duke off the bench. The other main contributor from a numbers standpoint off the bench, in addition to Fournier, who's out today.
Now the back door, Pitt trying to take advantage of that aggressive defensive mentality of Okonowa, but Washington's couldn't finish. Mayer the other way. The glass and in.
Want to pick their spots to get out in transition. Brooklyn Miles not really in a stance. Taina Mayer says, all right, I'm going to take it right to the rim, and finishes with contact.
Second person. Aislinn Malcolm also in. You could see the pass, but Duke could see it too. Got those arms into the passing lane, turning it into points on the other end for Okonowa. Drive is.
When you play the first 5 minutes, you relax a little bit, and then here comes Lucia Okonowa, who plays at 100 miles an hour every possession.
Here with the ball in the game. DeJesus gets the open look from 3 and knocks it down, adding to the scoring total.
Jen, they go under the screen. Battle chooses to go under the screen, trying to, who knows how long she's out. We don't have a timetable for her return. We'll see if some of these younger bigs, like a Delaney Thomas, Jordan Wood, can step up and fill that gap.
The ball movement.
Too. She said, look, Reigan Ricardson could be averaging more, but she makes that extra pass. Same thing for Ashlyn Jackson, finding DeJesus.
Having to play the point guard spot. There go those active hands again defensively for Duke. The Blue Devils looking to take advantage, and Donovan does the honors.
Steal when Phi puts the ball on the floor. The scouting report is, okay, she puts the ball on the floor, let's get our active hands in there and make a play. And then Jaden Donovan, a player like Amia Jenkins, who had played really well through their first 2 games, suffers a season-ending knee injury at West Virginia.
10 to shoot. As you mentioned, the 2 primary ball handlers out for the Panthers right now. It looks that way, but give this team credit as Johnson cleaned it up enough. It's been a while, now over 3 minutes. They have the 1 point from the free throw line, and Mayer, I guess that wasn't a kick. Maybe it hit off her shin a little bit. And whatever it is, it works. Over though, Mayer occasionally has had an issue with turnovers. 5 had 3-4 Duke jerseys around her, nobody there in support. Really 44% clip was their top 3-point shooter last season, but just hasn't taken that many this year so far. Mayer from the corner, there it is.
Open in the corner, a 36% 3-point shooter, and she's going to knock that down. That's exactly how.
I mean, Lucia Okonowa is not going to make any pass easy for this Pitt team, who is in foul trouble. Johnson left it short, but then it is put away by Michaela Elmore. They could use her getting going a bit more. 3 up and in. Ashlyn Jackson. Stay out of foul trouble. Both Miles and Washington's in foul trouble. Have to hang on to the ball. Boy, 5 bailing them out as she came back and swatted it out of bounds. Some frustration there as it winds up being a foul, and Duke going back to the free throw line.
Aluchi Okonowa finds a way to get it as she normally does. Gets the and one. That is so frustrating for a player like Phi.
At this point, Kelly, you just want a good, positive possession here, right?
You're just trying to get a bucket to get into halftime, give yourself a little momentum.
Getting hands in the passing lanes, another steal. 15th turnover by the Panthers, and it results in 2 points for Delaney Thomas and Duke. Limited in terms of what they could do in the first half of that foul trouble. Richardson, there it is! 1,000 points for Reigan Ricardson on that basket.
Pulls up from the mid-range and connects.
Jaden Donovan waited for the defense to come in, and then she found Thomas. What the lack of interior presence might do for Duke. That's not where they're strongest, especially with Fournier not available, but it has not been an issue here today.
Well, their guards have rebounded really well.
Piece by piece, that's a good minute right there. Good defensive performance. Can they make some points on this end? Phi drives the baseline, and it's good.
Also on that list for Florida State. Florida State will be hosting Syracuse next right here on ACC Network. That duo of Timpson and Tanaya Latson tremendously this year. She's shooting over 40% from 3, which is so crazy with her because you can't stay in front of her. She gets to the rim at will.
Jesus Okonowa, Wood, all on the floor along with Thomas, who scores there, and Richardson for the moment for Duke.
Lucia Okonowa gets the ball to Jordan Wood. That's a great high-low for Duke.
Undoubtedly, it's going to put a little pressure on Phi, too, who's now playing with 3 fouls. Wood with the block. Jordan Wood, one of those players who's seen improvement with more minutes, more time in this system under Kara Lawson this year. It's just something special to behold. And Maddie Westbeld finally starting to get healthy. They're going to make that team even better. And then, come on now, Georgia Tech unbeaten so far, their best start in program history. Final 10 minutes on the clock in Durham. It's been a rough one for the Panthers, there's no doubt about that. Just 6 points in each of the last 2 quarters, and Duke not letting up at all.
There's really great players in the game for Duke as DeJesus gets her hands on the ball, off to the races. Great job by Delaney Thomas to run the floor. These Duke bigs, top recruit out of Texas, sustained an injury in the offseason, McDonald's All-American. So pairing those two together in the future is going to be scary. But Jen, generally there is an assistant coach that's kind of in charge of rotations that keeps the head coach honest. And with some of those rotations, I think she likes DeJesus in there. She's going to run the team, not turn it over. And you pair that with Okonowa, who's just a high motor. So she likes bringing those two off the bench. And she obviously likes playing Richardson and Jackson together.
One of the unsung heroes defensively in that last game, and Wood pulls it down.
We've seen a really good floor game from sophomore Jordan Wood, and we knew she could shoot the 3. You look at her numbers, but that was pure. That
one will be on the road in Chapel Hill.
Can't wait for that one. And Notre Dame has opened up a little bit of a lead on North Carolina. You're going to see, especially in sports like women's hoops, where the level of investment is different with each school, each program, you're going to see some haves and have-nots, at least right now.
Coming up here soon, but I do think that you make a really good point about the haves and the have-nots, and if perhaps that is something that needs a little more regulation.
Torrey Verdi took over Pitt. I think he had 4 players on the roster.
Yeah.
So then you have to go into the portal, and NIL support is different at each institution. So it's tough to rebuild in this day and age in women's college hoops.
Good drive by Okonowa, just not the finish, and a rare opportunity to break out and transition for Pitt. Still can't finish it off, and credit the recovery too by Wood and Duke.
What they bring to this team, and yes, they're kind of the defensive coordinators, if you will, of this squad.
And of course, you've got Kyra Elzy now also part of Kara Lawson's staff. Quadruple header, Syracuse and Florida State up next. The Tenaya Lats and KK Tinson show. Will it roll on in Tallahassee in the Louisville Wake Forest? Cal SMU, the 4 on the day here on ACCN. Another balanced scoring effort from the Blue Devils, who win it